What's up, guys? So today we're looking at a very cool, very rare case knife model here. This is a case Sidewinder. But before we get in the video, I want to thank Matt, my friend on Instagram, who sent this to me to try out. Matt's Instagram name is Schmuck Flapping, which always makes me laugh when I see it. But anyway, he hooked me up with this knife as well as a bunch of fishing gear. So Matt, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. He had sent this to me, and it was in pretty rough shape. The blade on the front here had like a bunch of like tar or something. Like someone clearly used this knife, which is totally cool. I definitely appreciate a knife that's actually used. But I mean, they were scraping and digging and who knows what. It was like seriously baked on there. And then there's also something red that was pretty much all over the blade on both sides and the bolster and everything. But I was able to scrape it all off with a plastic little tool. It's actually a little gunsmithing tool that I have from years ago. I couldn't find it. I actually have a plastic razor blade somewhere, which would have worked well because it has a very fine edge, but it's plastic, so obviously it wouldn't scratch the metal surface. But anyway, I think I did a pretty good job. I really should have taken pictures of the before. Last time I did a restoration project, I forgot about that again. But next time I probably will, so you guys can show you the before and after. But anyway, I just want to make the video talking about the knife because this was a model that was new to me. I don't think I've ever seen this before, or if I have, I forgot about it. It's a really interesting case knife. First of all, it's huge, okay? I mean, I don't know if I can really give this justice, but it's massive. There's a huge, fat wood handle. It's not, because there's such a curve in here, it's not the most comfortable knife to hold on to, at least, I guess, in my hands. But it's probably the biggest, heaviest, fattest case knife I've ever seen. So let me zoom in here. All right, show you this blade. Okay, it does say Sidewinder on there, and obviously has a snake pattern. All right, you can see the case logo. All right, the markings here. This is early 80s. I forget offhand. I can't really see the dots to the viewfinder, but probably 1980, 1981, something like that. All right, you can see patent pending on this one. If I zoom out again. What makes this one kind of unique is the lock system. So our shield on our handle is actually a button. All right, so it says case, obviously. But if we look inside the handle here, because this actually pushes in, okay, that's our locking mechanism. It's actually depressing the lock, I should say. It's not the lock mechanism, it's what you push to release the lock, which if I zoom in, you can see it's basically a modified liner lock. All right, so when I push this in, right over here, it's connected to this bar. And then the other side, obviously, it's spring steel. So when the blade's all the way open, actually, if I close it a little bit, we can maybe see this in the open position, how this works. All right, I don't know if you could tell, this is all metal here. And then on top, there's a space. So as I open this blade up, slowly, this whole metal bar comes over and up against the base of the blade. So that is what locks it. All right, you can hear there's a tiny bit of play, but that seems to be normal for my research just because of the design. And then obviously to unlock it, you're going to depress this button. Now because this is like long and slender, you can't really do it far enough like this because you're just pushing on the scales itself. All right, so I found you have to actually turn it, all right, to depress that. So again, looking at the side before I zoom out, I'm just pushing this whole metal bar over, okay, to be able to close the blade. So really, really interesting. Again, I mean, it's a piece of case history. Not a lot of people out there know about this knife unless obviously you collect case knives. Then it's probably common. You might even have one in your collection. They're not super rare to find, although they are expensive. They range anywhere from like, I want to say in pretty rough condition, about $100 to $150. And if it's new condition, you see them sell anywhere from $150 to like $250. All right, so it's not a cheap knife just because it's a little bit harder to find. I mean, again, 1980, 1981, you're talking, I don't know, almost 40 years now. I mean, think about that. It's a pretty old knife. So not quite common these days, commonly seen anyway outside of collections, but definitely a very cool user. And I actually use this. I sharpened it up just a little bit, just put a little bit of an edge on it to play around with some cardboard. And again, that's how I knew it was kind of uncomfortable. It's just really bulky and chunky and stuff. And because of the extra curvature in the handle, when I'm squeezing down on it, it kind of wants to, you know, my fingers want to squish together because it's nice and smooth in here as well. But I'll tell you, whoever had it before me, I don't know if Matt used it himself. I forget the story he told me on it. But someone definitely got a lot of use out of this knife, which is really cool. And luckily it's not ground down too much. A lot of times these old knives like this, guys who actually carried them and used them every day, they would use some pretty rough, you know, sharpening stones. And sometimes these old knives, the blades look like pencils. They literally just sharpen the blade away because they're sharpening off way too much steel to get a nice edge on that again. But yeah, pretty interesting knife, the Case Sidewinder. So let me know down in the comment section if you guys have seen this one before, and or if you have one. You can see very heavy half stop, okay? There's no way that's gonna accidentally open. There's a big half stop and then a clunk when it opens, all right, because that locking mechanism on the inside. But just a really, really cool design. I would love to see Case do somewhat of a remake on this. Maybe like a more of a round shield so it's easier to push, you know, in a regular position you're holding a knife. But man, it's cool. Now, if you look at the handle here, you can see all kinds of pins, all right? We have a set of 2 pins here, 2 here, 3 on the bottom, and then a big old one. And I can only assume that this big old one is for that spring steel for our actual lock, which is somewhat of a liner lock, I suppose. But just a really cool, interesting design. But again, you can see just how chunky this thing is. And it is hefty. I mean, I didn't weigh this one, but I would say it's coming in at least 5 or 6 ounces, if not more. But nonetheless, pretty cool, interesting knife model from Case. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys have one of these, let me know down in the comment section. And also let me know if there's other Case models that has this same shield button lock, because I have not seen this before. Like I said, I just don't remember it if I have seen it, but it's just really unique. So anyway, that's it for now. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.